Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into a topic that's reshaping how enterprises across Europe, especially in the Netherlands, are building AI systems. We're talking about AI agents and multi-agent orchestration, and how Amsterdam is becoming a blueprint for doing this the right way under the EU AI Act. Sam, this feels like a shift from the chatbot era we've been in, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's the key distinction everyone needs to understand right off the bat. We're not talking about your typical customer service chatbot that just responds to what users type. Modern AI agents are fundamentally different. They plan multi-step tasks, execute actions in external systems, and actually learn from outcomes. It's autonomous behavior, not just reactive conversation.
So if I'm running a Dutch enterprise and I hear AI agents, what does that actually mean for my business? What can these systems do that chatbots can't?
Great question. Imagine you're a financial services firm and you need to automate compliance checks across thousands of documents. A chatbot would just answer questions about compliance. An AI agent would actively retrieve relevant regulations, analyze your documents autonomously, flag risks, and even coordinate with other agents, say a legal review agent or a risk management agent. The orchestration piece is where things get powerful. Multiple specialized agents working together on complex workflows, each with their own expertise, coordinated through a central system.
And the numbers back this up. We're seeing 55% of organizations have adopted generative AI in at least one function. But here's what surprised me. Agentic systems account for 28% of new enterprise AI implementations globally. That's significant. Why is Amsterdam emerging as this hub for multi-agent solutions specifically?
The EU AI Act. It's the elephant in the room, honestly. Autonomous agent systems are classified as high risk under the Act, which means organizations can't just build whatever they want and hope for compliance later. Amsterdam-based consultancies have positioned themselves as experts in both cutting-edge AI architectures and regulatory governance. They understand how to build agents that are powerful but also auditable, transparent, and legally defensible. That's a premium skill set right now.
So compliance isn't a headwind. It's actually an advantage for developers who understand it from day one. Let's break down the technology stack. When we talk about multi-agent orchestration, what are the core technologies that enable this?
There are three pillars. First, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This is critical. Instead of relying solely on what the AI model was trained on, RAG systems retrieve proprietary knowledge before generating responses. Think of a legal firm using an agent to review contracts. The agent pulls relevant clauses from your contract library, case law, and internal policies, then provides informed analysis. This dramatically reduces hallucinations and keeps agents grounded in reality.
Hallucinations are a real problem with large language models, so grounding them in actual data makes sense. What about the other two pillars?
The second is MCP servers, Model Context Protocol. This is a standardization layer that lets agents interact with external tools and data sources seamlessly. Without MCP, you're custom coding integrations for every single API or database. With MCP, agents can invoke APIs, trigger workflows, and access databases through a standard interface. It's modular, it scales, and it reduces technical debt. The third pillar is Agent SDKs, frameworks like Anthropic's Agents API, LangChain, and React architectures. These handle the heavy lifting, planning, tool selection, error recovery, token optimization. They compress development time from months to weeks.
That acceleration is huge, and I assume that's where the competitive advantage lies in 2026. Not in the AI models themselves, but in the orchestration infrastructure that ties everything together.
Exactly. The models are commoditizing. Everyone can access GPT-4, Claude, whatever. But orchestrating multiple agents, managing their interactions, ensuring compliance, optimizing resource allocation, that's where differentiation happens. Organizations that master multi-agent workflows will see exponential productivity gains. That's not hype, that's just how workflow automation compounds.
Let's ground this in a real scenario. If I'm a mid-sized enterprise in Amsterdam right now, thinking about deploying multi-agent systems, what does 2026 look like practically?
You're probably starting with a proof of concept in one business function, maybe customer service, where you combine a customer-facing agent with a back-end fulfillment agent. The customer agent retrieves information from your knowledge base, RAG, and the fulfillment agent actually processes orders or escalates to humans. Both sit on top of MCP servers that connect to your CRM, order management system, whatever. And critically, you're building audit trails from day one because the EU AI Act requires documentation of how these systems make decisions.
So compliance isn't something you bolt on at the end, it's baked into the architecture from the start.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. If you do that, if you build with EU compliance in mind, you're actually positioned better than organizations in other regions who'll have to retrofit compliance later. That's a strategic advantage for Dutch enterprises. You're not fighting legacy architecture. You're building right from the beginning.
What about the risk? We've all heard concerns about autonomous systems, bias, accountability, security. How do multi-agent systems address that?
Risk is real, and I don't want to minimize it. But a well-designed multi-agent system can actually be more robust than a monolithic AI system. Why? Specialization and auditability. Each agent has a narrow domain: a contract review agent, a risk assessment agent, a human escalation agent. You can test and validate each agent independently. You can see exactly which agent recommended what decision. And you can build human-in-the-loop checkpoints where agents flag high-stakes decisions for human review. That transparency is a feature, not a bug.
So the architecture itself can enforce safety and accountability. That makes sense. What's the practical roadmap for an enterprise that's serious about this? How do they move from chatbots to orchestrated multi-agent systems?
Phase 1. Audit your workflows. Where is repetitive, high-volume work happening? Customer service, document processing, data entry, compliance checks. That's where agents create immediate ROI. Phase 2. Pick one workflow and build a proof of concept. Use an agent SDK, implement RAG with your proprietary data, and connect one or two external systems via MCP. Keep it simple. Phase 3. Instrument it heavily. Log every decision, every tool call, every escalation to human handlers. That's your compliance foundation. Then you can expand.
And the timeline? How long does a Phase 1 proof of concept typically take?
With modern SDKs and frameworks, you're looking at 8 to 12 weeks for a solid proof of concept that covers workflow design, RAG setup, MCP integration, and compliance documentation. Used to be 6 months or more. The tooling has matured dramatically. That said, going to production, scaling beyond one workflow, hardening security, integrating with legacy systems, that's where you hit the longer timeline. We're talking 6 to 9 months for enterprise-grade implementations.
And I imagine the cost-benefit calculation is compelling. If you're automating high-volume, high-error rate processes, the ROI speaks for itself.
Dramatically so. A financial services client we worked with automated their compliance documentation process with a multi-agent setup. It cut review time by 70%, reduced human error by 85%, and paid for itself in about 4 months. Those are real numbers. And that's with a conservative implementation. As they expand, the gains compound.
That's compelling. Let's talk about the broader ecosystem. How is Amsterdam specifically positioned to lead this space in Europe?
Several factors converge. First, regulatory sophistication. Dutch enterprises have been dealing with stringent data protection and AI governance longer than most. Second, technical talent concentration. Amsterdam and the broader Netherlands have strong AI research communities, especially around machine learning and systems architecture. Third, and maybe most important, there's no regulatory arbitrage. If you're building in Amsterdam with EU AI Act compliance in mind, you're building for the entire European market without future refactoring. Companies in the US or Asia have to adjust for EU regulations. Dutch firms get to innovate within those bounds from day one.
So it's not just about regulation, it's about being in a position to solve a problem before others even recognize it. What do you see as the biggest challenge organizations will face when they start building multi-agent systems in earnest?
Integration complexity, honestly. You're not just building an AI system, you're orchestrating it with legacy systems, databases, APIs, human workflows. That integration layer is where projects slow down. Organizations that underestimate the integration challenge, thinking they can just deploy an agent and watch it work, they stumble. You need strong architecture, clear data ownership, API standardization. The agents themselves are the easy part. The orchestration infrastructure is hard.
So it's infrastructure maturity that becomes the bottleneck, not AI capability. That's an important insight. Sam, what should our listeners take away from all this?
3 things. 1. AI agents are not chatbots. They're autonomous systems that plan and execute, and they're fundamentally different. 2. The competitive advantage in 2026 lies in orchestration, not models. Master multi-agent workflows, and you'll outpace competitors. 3. If you're in Europe, especially the Netherlands, the EU AI Act is not a constraint, it's an advantage. Build with compliance in mind from day one, and you're positioned to scale faster than anyone else.
Excellent. Sam, thanks for breaking this down. And listeners, if you want the full deep dive on Amsterdam's role in multi-agent orchestration, the EU AI Act compliance requirements, and specific implementation frameworks, head over to etherlink.ai. The complete article is there, with even more technical details and real-world case studies. Thanks for tuning in to EtherLink AI Insights. We'll be back soon.